Kung Fu Panda has a ripoff, and now How to Train Your Dragon has a ripoff. Dragon Rider was released in 2020 in a lot of countries, although in the UK and Ireland it released on Sky in 2021. It tells the story of the humans who claimed war on the dragons. However, a dragon named Firedrake befriends a human named Charlie, and they go on a magical quest and journey to stop the war. Yeah, that does sound familiar, doesn't it? So Dragon Rider is quite an interesting movie for me. I had heard a lot of hatred going on about it, and how it was a complete rip-off to How to Train Your Dragon, and how it completely bashed the book that it was based on. And for me personally, I didn't really know what to expect with it. Judging from the trailer, it didn't look too bad to me, it just looked okay. It felt more of a Spyro ripoff to me than a How to Train Your Dragon ripoff, because the dragons talk, it's about them, saving the dragons, and there's crystal locations, much more than there is in How to Train Your Dragon. So it felt more of something that was copying the story of Spyro, just in movie form. Spyro is a video game, obviously. But you'd probably expect me to hate the look of the movie because of it being a ripoff to my favourite franchise. Well, yeah, but I didn't really know what to expect. Now, yes, judging by the posters and all, you can tell it's a ripoff to How to Train Your Dragon. Hell, they literally have a reference called How to Tame Your Dragon in the movie. Yeah, originality right there. But I didn't really know what to expect, and I was just kinda curious. I had heard from someone that the movie was absolutely awful, and I wasn't surprised because the trailer didn't really look all that great, and it was getting a lot of hate. After seeing it for the first time last night on TV, I just think it's... oh boy, oh lord. Now before you start saying I hate the movie because it's a clear rip-off to How to Train Your Dragon, well, not really. I'm actually very surprised that the movie isn't that much of a rip-off to How to Train Your Dragon. Why do I say that? How to Train Your Dragon's main storyline was Hiccup bonding with Toothless, and I guess you could sort of say Charlie's storyline here is bonding with Firedrake, but it is done completely different to Hiccup and Toothless's. Its execution is completely different. Firedrake can talk, Toothless could not talk. However, to me, this movie seems like what How to Train Your Dragon could have been if it was the opposite quality. It's like How to Train Your Dragon. How to Train Your Dragon took a very cliche storyline, but its execution is wonderful. Dragon Rider, to me, while could have had a really good storyline, it uses a predictable storyline and doesn't execute it well at all. This story was awful. It was a terrible story. I was just shocked at how predictable it was. I made so many predictions, especially in the beginning. Oh, I know how this is going to turn out. Ended how exactly I imagined. I know how this is going to turn out. Happens? Yeah, it's so predictable. It's too easy to watch. It's not even worth watching, if I'm being honest, because if you make a lot of predictions, you're going to be right with every single one. Okay, maybe someone might not find it predictable, that's awesome, but for me, the movie is beyond predictable and incredibly cliche. It has a really bad execution. My god, the story was awful. It was just dull. I'm not going to say the movie was boring. I will admit some scenes actually did have heart, and it did have more merit than I expected. I was quite surprised that the movie does have some heart, but that doesn't prevent it from being a god-awful movie. Just a story, it's just bad. The animation on the human is awful. The human animation is terrible. But the background animation wasn't too bad, and some shots with the dragons did actually look very nice. While the dragon designs, while you can obviously tell it's aimed for very young children, I do quite like the designs of the dragons. I just think they look pretty decent. They're not amazing, but they look nice enough for what they are. Now on to the characters who... oh lord. Let's start with the main character, Firedrake. Well, I'm not gonna go he's a terrible character, because I won't lie, he is quite likeable, and a little too likeable for me to just dislike the character, so... he's just okay, he's likeable enough. Charlie, however, was, oh god, really annoying and very cliche. My god, I was shocked at how generic his character was. And Cyril, sucked. She was incredibly bland. Same with the other characters. They're just very forgettable, not interesting, and very one-dimensional. There's no real... Okay, well, there is kind of a villain. It's not really a spoiler, but it's a bit... He's not really in the story. It's kind of more of an obstacle for the hero to face. I don't know, like, it's hard for me to explain, but the villain was... Well, I don't know. I don't know if he's like a villain. He's more of an obstacle, but the obstacle wasn't very well done and just kind of mediocre to me. So yeah, the characters are not great. You have two really bad ones and the rest are just forgettable. And one character who is likable, but just, yeah, he's fine. That's kind of it really. The soundtrack is okay. It's not amazing, but the soundtrack is fine, but oh god, it suffers from a really bad story, and it suffers from not interesting characters. It's just a poorly made movie. Dragon Rider is what How to Train Your Dragon could have been if the execution was poor. It has a story that's just predictable and generic and executed poorly. The animation is a mixed bag, the characters aren't good, and the music ain't very good either. I'm going to give Dragon Rider a 3 out of 10. I genuinely am shocked at how bad this movie is, and, well, yeah, I know a lot of people are going to call it a rip-off to How to Train Your Dragon, but to me, not really, and that's shocking, because I'm a huge fan of How to Train Your Dragon, but the story of it, for the most part, was a lot different to How to Train Your Dragon. But does that make it a good movie? No, and I'm not saying it's a bad movie because it's a rip-off to How to Train Your Dragon. I'm saying it's a bad movie because I genuinely think it's a bad movie. Not because it ripped off this, but like I said, I don't really consider it a rip-off because the two of them are a lot different. So, have you seen Dragon Rider? What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Please like this video, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for my next review, which is going to be on Spectacular Spider-Man. Until then guys, skadoosh everyone and take care.